Hi friends! Alright, we've got another great DIY for you. We're going to be using some Couture transfers and this amazing little frame that I got at the Dollar Tree. It's got 2 panes of glass, so whatever you put in there can be a little bit more dimensional. You could put dried flowers in there, but we're going to use some silk screening. We're actually going to paint right on top of them. So there's some gooey stuff on this one, so I'm going to set it aside and just grab another fresh piece of glass from another one that I got, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So these Couture silk screens, this one comes as a set of 4, but I only want to use the flowers. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we call scoring, and I'm just going to go along the line of the boundaries of the in between both of the top and the bottom transfers, and I'm gonna actually need to take my scissors and just kind of go along and help it a little bit. That way I'm cutting it away from the other ones and not totally separating it, because I want to just be able to take it later and just put it right back on the same sheet and keep them all together. So now that we have that done, we are going to go ahead and do what we call fuzzing. We're going to be putting a layer of fuzz on the sticky side of the silkscreen transfer. And what that does is when you go to take it off of a piece of glass or maybe a piece of metal, it takes it off very easily, and it doesn't pull the paint off when you're doing it either. So we're going to go ahead and just pick 4 flowers off of here. We're going to make sure that we get it stuck down really, really good. That way, when we put the paste on there, it's going to be nice and smooth. So we're going to be using Papaya, Bumblebee, Shimmer Velvet, the new Acadamia Teal color, the Shimmer Flamingo, and then we're going to go ahead and pick some greens that we're going to use later to do the actual stems with. So we're going to just get a Clorox cloth on the side so we can use our squeegees and keep things clean as we go. So we're just going to go ahead with the Bumblebee. We're going to go and do 1 flower, just the top. We only need a little bit. A little bit does go a long way. Then we're going to go in with the Shimmer Shimmer Violet, excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and do one of the other flowers. Then we're going to go in with the Academia, and we're just going to go ahead and choose another flower. And then we're going to do the Shimmer Flamingo and do the other flower. We're going to be using Pesto and Meadow. Meadow is a nice bright green color, and Pesto is the nice darker color. And then we're just going to go ahead and take care of the stems and the leaves. And we're going to kind of go every other just to give it another little bit of a dimension when it comes to looking at the flowers, something nice and fresh. So we're going to finish up squeegeeing off any and all of the extra paste that we have, and slowly pull back and make sure that we have all of the flowers done. It looks perfect to me, so we're going to go ahead and pull it off, set it aside, and here we go. Doesn't that look great? Alright, we're going to go ahead and flash it with some heat with our heating tool and just make sure that we get it nice and dry. We're going to go ahead and use a second transfer, a piece of a second transfer, just the wording, and we're going to add a little bit of verbiage to the bottom of this. I think that's one of the coolest things about Couture is you actually only need, you can cut and paste, not physically cut, but you can kind of cut out any pieces that you want from each transfer and make your own beautiful craft. So we're going to go ahead and just take the words, make sure it's nice and straight from this other transfer. And I'm making sure that the frame is not going to cover it, so I want to place it perfectly. And then we are going to go ahead and take our shimmer shadow, which is a nice black with a lot of beautiful shimmer to it, and we're just going to do the words. Squeegee off all the rest of it, put it back in the container, put this aside, and then we're going to go ahead and pull it off. You want to make sure when you pull off the silk transfers that you're not distorting it by pulling it too hard. You just want to go a nice smooth motion down. I'm going to go ahead and dry off the verbiage. And then we're going to set this aside, and we're going to clean our silk transfer. That way the paint doesn't stay on it. We're going to spray some water on it. We're going to take a nice clean Clorox wipe and we're going to go ahead and clean it off. Start with the top, make sure we get all of the paste off of it, turn it over and do the sticky side. The Clorox is also going to take off all the fuzzes on it as well. So that's nice and clean. We will clean it upside down with sticky side up and set it aside. All right. The words on the bottom say just breathe. And I had a little extra paste that kind of got on the side, so I just cleaned that off. I'm going to try something, and I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but we're going to get adventurous, and we're going to give it a try anyway. We're going to take the other 4 flowers on that transfer, and we're going to see if we can actually kind of give it this 3D dimension look to it. And so I'm just going to put this right on top of the second layer of glass. We're going to put it down and make sure we have all of the silkscreen down. We're going to go with the Acadamia. And I'm trying to keep the colors a little bit different from which ones I use. So I'm going to try to get creative here. And we're going to take some of the orange, the papaya. Only put portion of it on the flowers. And then we're going to go in with the Bumblebee. Add it to the empty spaces, and then we're just going to go and squeegee it, and it almost gives it this kind of a tie-dye effect. I'm going to put these ones away because we don't need it. Clean off our squeegee and brush it away. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and go in with the Shimmer Violet. Do one of the flowers. Going to go ahead and get some stems going on too. You want to make sure you do kind of work quickly because the paste does dry a little fast, and you don't want the paste to really dry on the transfer. Otherwise, it can be hard to get off, and it can also be too hard to get off on the silkscreen part of it and end up ruining your transfer. So your transfers are going to last up to 10 to 12 times as long as you take very good care of your transfer. So you can use one transfer a lot of times. It's the best quality that we have. So finishing up the other flowers, we're going to go ahead and slowly pull it off. And there we have it. Put that aside for a second because we need to make sure that we get, 1, all of our paste put away. We don't want it to dry up. And then 2, we want to clean off this transfer as well. So let me get these all tightened up real quick. All right, then we're going to go ahead and clean off this transfer. I'm pulling out my dollar store drying mat, and we're going to spray it with some water. Now, I did notice that I did leave the second side with the other flowers on, so it's going to take some elbow grease. Not literally elbow grease, but it's going to take some work to get it cleaned. As you can see, it's not coming off very well. So we're going to go in with our board eraser. It's very similar to a magic eraser, but it doesn't have the chemicals on it. So you do not want to use a magic eraser on your transfers. You want to use our specialized board eraser to go with it. And what this does is it really helps to get into the silkscreen portion of the transfer and clean it off really good. Sometimes you're going to get some of the color to stain on the outside, and that's okay. You just really want to make sure that you get the silkscreen super clean because that's the most important part of it. We got it cleaned off pretty well. We're going to go ahead and air dry it sticky side up, set it aside, and let's finish this baby up. All right, we're going to go ahead just to make sure that this guy is nice and dry, and we're going to go over it with the heating gun. Now we're going to see if my idea worked. So we're going to take this one and we're going to flip it upside down and see how well, and if it actually gave it that 3D dimension. And looking at it, unfortunately, it's not what I thought it was going to be. They are two on top of each other, and it's just not giving it that feel. So really, I needed to go and separate and put each flower, maybe 3 of the flowers, in between the other ones, and I think it would have gave me the feel I was looking for. Or even just put the flowers farther down with shorter stems. So that just didn't work. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a second piece of glass and cover it, and we will call it good on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this one because I couldn't get the sticky off. Need some Goo Gone for that bad boy. we're going to go ahead and just put it together so you guys can see what the finished product looks like. And it's not working with me, so on this guy you definitely need to make sure that you have both pieces of glass when you're inserting it into the frame. We're just going to get it down there like that. And here's what we have so far.
I'm going to need to redo this,
I think it's always better to,
with the
when
white
you're using a piece of glass to put something white behind it so you can see it.
And that turned
out pretty
great.
I think it turned out pretty great.
I'm looking forward to making a second one to match it. Maybe
I might use the other flowers and just put it in an empty frame. So hope you guys like this video. From my heart to yours.